Sometimes you preach in chapel and sometimes you just talk to friends. And today is a Talk to Friends Day. Just back from Myrtle Beach, did a short course for the Myrtle Beach School of Preaching and Biblical Studies with Stephen and Cindy Guy. Really appreciated the opportunity to do that course in biblical counseling, and they were very kind to me. The original title of today's lesson, when it came to me from Brad by email, was 20 Years of Students. What have you learned? I've been here a long time, but since 2004 in the current role. Dealt with lots of students and been a student for a long time. And so I love to talk to students about students and improvement, but I don't want to talk down to you, nor do I want to paint with too big a brush where I'm not being honest and truthful with you. My relationship with IBC, then Heritage Christian, started as a youth minister, teaching the occasional course as an adjunct faculty member, moved into something a little more as I became a preacher. When the church where I was wanted to hire a preacher with a personality, as one guy told me once, I transitioned into the job here, served as dean of students and teacher and such things, and then eventually in 2004 became the academic dean. We want to be very careful about not painting with too big a brush, but there are some generalities we can put in front of you that are extremely important. One of the reasons we want to be respectful of individuality and not make you think that we're labeling you as exactly identical to all people in your generation, tax collectors in the New Testament, not such a highbrow group. We wouldn't necessarily love them, but we're kind of partial to Matthew and to Zacchaeus. You read Luke's gospel and you'll find some Pharisees, not so partial to them as a general rule, but some of them who warned Jesus of death plots. We want to be careful because even among the apostles, we love them, but Peter had his bad days and Judas didn't turn out so well in the end. Whenever I say that all baby boomers or all Gen Xers or all millennials do this or that, that's dangerous. That is just not a safe thing to do. But still, there are some big picture changes in students over a couple of decades that we have seen. More students now than ever expect learning to be fun. And I'm okay with fun. A guy told me once, sense of humor is a good thing. You ought to get one. And I've been working on that in my spare time. Haven't arrived yet. Got an email, not recently, but maybe a few months ago, wanting to teach me how to gamify my classes, as if all my assignments were video-type games that you would learn better. And I'm not that bright, and I really don't have that inclination. Because while the Lord has a sense of humor, and He gave that to us, and we can appreciate good humor at all times, not everything is fun and games. Many things are serious and need to be approached with a gravity about them, a soberness that's pretty healthy. More students than ever expect to have a say-so in how the course is conducted. And on one level, I'm really in favor of that. I like for learning to be mutual. Teacher always learns most, and I love that. Love classes where there can be give and take and shared ideas and shared applications. The problem I have sometimes with a few students would be the notion of, I have just as much right to write the syllabus and design this course and give you what methods of instruction as the teacher does, and really that wouldn't be too healthy, because if we have nothing else, we do have a little bit of advantage in experience, being older, and maybe some of us have been to school a little longer, and we're supposed to know some things about the educational process that could be a blessing to you. I think one of the things that I see from students, and I don't mean to be insulting, I see less perseverance. I think in the old days, we had some stubborn folks, in the good sense of stubborn, who would not stop. Some folks who couldn't do Greek well, but they did Greek. or they couldn't learn certain concepts easily, but they battled and fought and struggled and built a team around them and solicited help, and they overcame. I know I need to be careful with this. My first degree was agronomy. I was going home to farm. I do know a little bit about changing your mind and changing directions, but I love people who have a proper balanced sense of perseverance and stubbornness. You start, you stay, you complete, you win, and you let that bless you on whatever level it will bless you. We don't want to be people who flit from this to that, thinking that the next thing is going to be the one big item. Life doesn't tend to work that way very often. One of the things that I see now that's really a compliment to you guys, you have so much technology at your fingertips, and you know so much about using that technology. Technologically, I am a dinosaur. I died some millennia ago, and I'm fairly okay with that. It doesn't grieve me much. But let's do a caveat on that technology thing. You know that technology can be addictive. It can be mind-numbing. It can put you to sleep intellectually. One of the things we want to do with you, Romans 12 is talking about being transformed by the renewing of your mind, spiritual transformation. But we want to pay good attention to that mind, your good mind, always. One of the things I'd love to advocate to you is please don't ever fall into that deal of it has to be true, I read it online. I told some people in the Myrtle Beach course that is a very dangerous thing for us to do. I haven't done it yet, Jim, but one of the things I've often wanted to do when somebody told me that it has to be true, I read it online, I want to get that person's email and send him an email that says your mother is a horse. Well, you read it online. It has to be true. We just don't want to go there. We want to think biblically and intelligently. Biblical principles stay true always. And if things are incongruent and conflicted, they might both be wrong, but they certainly can't both be right. One of the things I like about you, and I respect, you are less formal. Students in general are less formal than students used to be. Less formal in attire. And that's okay with me. I would recommend leave the blue jeans with the holes for the weekends and show up in class a little notch nicer than that. And I know you don't drink it, but don't even wear the Bud Light t-shirt. It just sends the wrong message to people and it'll make them think funny things about you. I do not know what to do with you in terms of what to call me. I may be a contributor to this problem. I could be Dr. Bagents if you had to. I could be Dean Bagents. I could be Vice President Bagents. I prefer not to be Brother Bagents. I am your brother, but I've got 4 brothers, and I don't call them Brother Ricky and Brother Mike and Brother Randy and Brother Tim. I just go with their names there, and pretty okay with that. It may be a disservice to you to be as informal as I am towards you. Because in your congregation, certain members of a certain age might really respect terms of respect and entitlement, endearment. And if you were to use those terms, it might make your life easier and make you come across as more respectful and good, more humble. And that is always a really cool thing to be able to do. I'm not going to force that. I think forcing it, bad business. I think choosing it, excellent business. One of the things I love about you guys who are younger, you still have that idea of God can use us to make a difference. And He can. You've not been jaded. You've not been limited. Some of you don't know what you can't do. And God bless you for that. It is not our purpose to teach you what you can't do. I have seen folks who had dreams that I thought to be pipe dreams. No way given the resources, the personality, the background, the experience. No way this thing could work. And I've eaten those words happily without ketchup. Really happily eaten those words because the Lord is way more able than we'll ever ask or imagine. A second thing Brad asked me to do, and I really appreciate the assignment, could you tell us from your years of observation why some students succeed and others don't? And I can give you the short list there. One thing I know to tell you is I cannot tell from day one who will graduate and who won't. I can't tell you from day one who will serve in wonderful ways and who will fall away from the faith. Part of that is ignorance on my part. Part of that is the Lord doesn't see like man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance. The Lord looks on the heart, and I don't always see hearts. On the good side of that ignorance, we've had people come through here, metaphorically speaking, with a thimble full of talent, but the Lord took those loaves and fish and has fed thousands. And we love that. We've had people, on the other hand, just a few come through here who had more talent and little finger than I've ever had or ever will have. They couldn't harness it. They crashed, they burned, they cheated on their wife, they didn't parent their kids, they didn't pay their bills. We never know if our core, our integrity, if we're not striving to be Christ-like, we're just not going to do good ministry ever. The Lord won't let that happen. Those who succeed, back to my idea of healthy stubbornness. You can do it. You persevere, you try, you work, you succeed. You recruit helpers, you build a team around you. You do not give up, and good things happen. Those who succeed, love of learning. We haven't had many, but we've had a few people, they are after the piece of paper. If you're after the piece of paper, print your own. Save the money, save the time, and don't grieve me. Just print your own and have your piece of paper from some university you invented in your own mind. Give it a real nice German-sounding name and some letters in there that are backwards, and it'll all just work out cool. I love you guys who have a love of learning. It's the Lord's universe. It's the Lord's work. It's the Lord's church. And the more we know, the more we grow. The more tools we have in the box. And that's just a cool thing. Treat it as an adventure. Certain days you may learn great things in the classroom, and certain days you may learn great things in the hallway, and certain days what you learn may be, I don't want to learn any more about that. That just bogs me down and messes me up. Complete the assignments, win the course, and move to the next good option that's available. I love students who come with a God can use me mentality. Those guys succeed. If I can do the contrast, the other side of it is, why hasn't God used me more already? Why don't I have a better job? Why don't I have a better salary? Why don't I have more respect and recognition? Why haven't I soared to the top of the field? Well, part of that could be you're 18 years old and you just haven't had time yet. Your day will come. Yes. But those people with a God can use me mentality, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Do the good you know to do, understanding that when we do that, it honors God. We do not work for mere men, we work for the Lord, and we trust the Lord for the reward, because the Lord always knows the nuances, the challenges, the victories. Even a cup of cold water given in the name of a disciple, you will by no means lose your reward. Most of you know this beautifully, and I appreciate that. We've seen a resurgence in service and giving and involvement. I don't want to make you sexist, But if you see a lady carrying a box of any size down the hallway, she doesn't carry that box without you saying, "May I please carry that box for you?" We have a visitor come on campus. You don't know them. Can we help you find the person you need to find? Welcome to campus. My name is Bill. We're happy that you're here. Be good to them. Do what the Lord lets you do. And if you have one of those bad days when some old guy is a little less respectful than he ought to be, file that under bad day for the old guy, but I'm not buying into this. It's still a good day, and I'm going to do the right thing the right way with the right attitude because I'm working for the Lord. You find a support system. Students who succeed don't do this thing Lone Ranger. Some of you are already way bright. When you come here, you bring your wife with you. She audits all the classes you take for credit. The two of you get to study together. You get to spend extra time together. It sends that wonderful message of "I love you and I'm happy when you're in my life and we're around one another." If you're not married, find a friend or friends who also love learning and love serving. Everything in life is relational. Even God, the triune God, exists in eternal, perfect relationship. And so the more we buy into that relational support system approach, the better off we are. Who fails? When students come in, before they're even registered, I generally advise the first semester, I will tell them the truth, best I know it. You will succeed academically if you start on day one, show up for class, stay awake, and work ahead. The way we lose people traditionally here is, this is not going to be so bad. I think I'll coast to about midterm, and about midterm I'll start doing some of those assignments that were due the first couple of weeks of class, and my professor will never know that this paper was written in 23 hours or less at the end of the semester. He will know. She will know. We always know. I don't mean to be ugly about it, but it takes about 4 times longer to read a bad paper than it does to read a good one. When you're reading a good one, you're learning, you're appreciating, you're feeling energized, you're not making many marks. My favorite marks on a paper: good idea, well expressed, super. You take one of those other papers that you have to bleed all over. Sometimes we get a little peeved, talking for myself, but really what we get there is disappointed because you're letting yourself down. Don't do that kind of work. We really want people to do well. We lose people, my best belief, who don't come here by their own choice. If you've been pressured into coming here or guilted into coming here, or you didn't have another option, my goal today is not to tell you to leave. Change the reason you came. You can change that. You can choose to change that. Initially, I walked in the door because Mama made me, or Daddy said I'm coming to Heritage, or I'm joining the Marines, and I didn't want to be a jarhead. Change the reason. Folks who come here choosing to love the Lord, wanting to serve the Lord. You heard that reading from 1 Timothy chapter 2. Timothy was commissioned by the apostle who was his father in the faith to give attention to reading and doctrine and exhortation, to keep growing. That's a cool thing you can do here, and it's kind of fun to do there. There are a few people who don't succeed here because they just flat lack the Spirit of Christ. And nobody's going to succeed in the kingdom without drinking deeply from the Word and without desiring to do exactly what Ephesians 4:11 through 16 advises, to grow up in all things unto Him who is the head, even Christ. But I see in you guys a whole lot of sweet and gentle and blessed and optimistic, a whole lot of the Spirit of Christ. And I just love seeing that. Every now and then we have somebody who comes through and doesn't succeed because they just flat don't have the academic background or the ability. Background you can overcome. Ability may be another matter. And let me tell you the truth there to the best of my ability. If you question your academic ability, forgive yourself. You didn't choose that. You are who God made you. Whatever part of the program you can complete and benefit from, complete it. Benefit from it. Gain all the tools that you can gain. Please don't think that some of us are going to be in the express line at judgment because we've done PhD or DMin or such like. There is no express line at judgment. And if there were one, that's going to be some widow lady doing the two mites. It's not going to be me or some other high-profile person. And a few people don't make it because they're unwilling to learn the skills and the discipline necessary to do well in an academic environment. I can't tell you how to study because how to study is unique to you. Some people study better in groups, not Bill. Some people study better if they write more and more stuff, not Bill. Some people study better if they memorize more and more, not Bill. Other people contemplate. Yeah, that's more me. They read big time. They love books. We want to learn those skills to work ahead, stay current, and to use the assignments to bless us whether we love them or not. I didn't like algebra. Numbers should be numbers, and letters should be letters. And when you put them on the same line, you have messed with me. Yes. I liked trigonometry even less. Calculus does not compute with me. I think the devil invented calculus to frustrate people. Physics don't work for me at all. I mean, they work. I do comply with gravity and such like, but there's a lot about physics I don't understand. I was not much with Greek. I've had a number of hours there, but I didn't keep it up as I should and never let it bless me as much as I should. But I was able to live through all of that list. And somehow living through it made me a little better. If nothing else, it made me appreciate the fact that every course ends. And eventually you get to move on to the next semester and you get blessed in a different way. Those who succeed, when things are going badly, trouble comes, you get confronted or overwhelmed. Those who succeed find a faculty or staff member, they find somebody, they don't suffer in silence. They come saying, "Will you help me?" And if that's you, don't suffer in silence. But this shall all men know you're my disciples if you have love for one another. Let everyone look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. It's not weakness and it's not failure to get the good help you need in a timely manner. The way that's going to be interpreted here, that's maturity, that's self-discipline, that's humility. It's not letting the devil win because we love what the Lord has called us to be. And we want to be his servants effectively from really good hearts. We'll stop with a prayer. Father in heaven, help us not to overestimate ourselves. We know it's dangerous to think too highly. Help us not to underestimate ourselves. We're made in your sweet image. Father, help us not to compare ourselves foolishly to others, but to look at the strengths of others and appreciate the good examples. Father, help us not to give up on good opportunities, but to see the course, to maintain, to overcome, even to enjoy what we're doing. Father, we know the world needs your gospel more than anything. Please help us to have the hearts and to develop the skills to teach your gospel faithfully and lovingly. We thank you for the family here at Heritage and for letting us be part of that good family. In Jesus' name, amen.